Awesome. So today I'm going to be talking about the power of human connections, and that's exactly what you guys just did. How did that feel? Did you feel excited, energized, maybe even a little bit silly? That's literally the power of human connection. It sparks our personality and unlocks happiness that we can't get from pure isolation. Now multiply that effect by the number of people in your community. The bigger our communities and the more we interact with them, the more energized and excited we feel. Look at all of us here. We all identify as a part of the blockchain community, something that we care deeply enough about to be in the same room together this afternoon, and with the hopes of learning more and building deeper relationships. Now, if there's one thing that I want you to take away from today, it's to become more self-aware of how our communities and our connections shape us. And I use the words self-aware because many of us don't consciously think about the communities that we're actually a part of. We don't think about how we anchor one another to a common cause, and the secret to achieving our goals lies within these communities. And communities are really nothing more than the labels we choose for ourselves. For me, I'm a woman, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a first-generation immigrant, I'm a mother, a millennial, and a lover of spicy food, which I'm sure there's a lot of you in this room. And each of these labels carries with them the underlying beliefs of my communities, which in turn means they make up my beliefs. As a woman, I believe in gender equality. As a first-generation immigrant, I believe, I'm so sorry. As a woman, I believe in gender equality. As a first-generation immigrant, I love my culture, but seek to balance with the culture of my birth country. As a lover of spicy food, I love the heat and intense flavor in every bite. The last one about spicy food may not seem important, but think about the beliefs in this community. Think about the beliefs in this community and what they imply. It means that by definition, I'm a judgmental eater. It means that I have certain standards that need to be met with every meal. It means there's probably a good chance what others consider delicious won't appeal to me. And now let's apply the same logic to the other communities. I mentioned that I'm a woman, as you can see, and I believe in gender equality. And that inherently means that I don't believe men and women are equal today. From the wage gap to sexism to representation in major institutions, I believe that there are pressing issues that need fixing to balance the scales between men and women today. Identifying with these communities gives me an anchor point and a lens through which I can make sense of the world. As a woman fighting for gender equality, I'm open to connecting with the millions of women around the world that also agree with these beliefs. But on the flip side though, by selecting into these communities, I'm opposing the beliefs of others. I have a hard time immediately connecting with those that don't understand gender equality or why hot sauce makes everything better. But the concepts of human connection and self-awareness are critical here, because they actually help me further the goals of my communities. From a practical standpoint, most of us go about our days thinking we are right in whatever we believe. If we do use human connection in the context of our communities, it is usually to talk to those that are already a part of our community. And the conversation usually involves telling each other how we're right or how great we are. We don't often take that concept of human connection and extend it to those who are on the opposite side of us. Being self-aware of our choices and beliefs, though, changes this dynamic. If we understand the power of our communities and how great and life-changing our own beliefs can be, we look to connect with those on the other side and we can convince them to join us. We look to persuade others through the power of connection, all to recruit more people to achieve the broader goals of our community. Now, I can't solve gender inequality unless I recruit men and women who don't currently see inequality. I can't spread the awesomeness of spicy food unless I convince more people to add hot sauce to everything. And yes, I carry hot sauce in my bag, and it was before Beyonce made it a thing. A more practical example of how I use my communities to shape the world around me is through my business, Food to Eat. As a woman, an immigrant, and an entrepreneur, I wanted to help others overlapping these three communities. I wanted to empower those who I believe have it the toughest to find their own source of economic empowerment. So I decided to make Food to Eat an explicit community for women, immigrant, and minority entrepreneurs within the food industry. And again, self-awareness about these different groups and their goals is critical to understanding who's aligned with you, who's opposite to you when starting and thinking about human connection. Specifically when starting Food to Eat, I thought, who's not familiar with the experience of women, immigrants, and or minorities? Who can I convince of the value underlying these communities, thereby spreading the knowledge and understanding of these communities' unique experiences? Through self-awareness, I was able to find the right target market, which was corporate America. White men account for 72% of leadership positions of Fortune 500 companies, and I couldn't think of a more opposed group to the values and goals of the communities that I'm talking about. So I took it upon myself to leverage human connection to reach out to these corporations and sell the value of bringing in diverse and delicious food from a brand new community. Again, by selling the power and benefits of diversity to those who aren't diverse, I was able to recruit more members to my community, making new customers, and bring in new business that achieved my community's greater exposure and economic empowerment. I'm proud to say that Food to Eat is a profitable business and a shining example of how human connection can achieve my community's business and social mission. Today, thanks to the power of technology, new communities and connections are formed every single day. Through social media tools, we've been able to find and speak to those in our community from around the world. But we still haven't mastered the ability to leverage human connection and convince others yet. But sometimes we can seem more divided than ever on pretty much every issue, but I'm hopeful that we'll get there. Now, where I see some of the most promise, though, is the people in this room. Blockseoul is one of the most unique and energetic communities and has ambitious goals set ahead. We're looking to basically digitize trust and decentralize the way in which major aspects of our economy run. This is a tall order, especially when the technology and applications are still so nascent. But our success will hinge in our ability to be self-aware about both our strengths and our weaknesses. We need to recognize exactly who opposes us on the other side of the table and leverage the power of human connection to recruit them to our cause. With Food to Eat, I engaged corporations on their terms. I knew that companies are always spending money on perks like feeding their employees or looking to expand their social responsibility efforts. By tapping into their existing habits and desires, my task of expanding my community's reach was made much easier. I found the point of alignment between their goals and my own, thereby expanding the reach and influence of my community. Similarly, we need to understand the points of centralization with the deepest pain, and therefore the greatest need for decentralization. By understanding exactly how those on the other side can align with the goals of our community, we can easily connect with them and build the future we're already striving to create. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you learned a little bit more about the power of our community.